There's this misconception that women can and should do much more than is healthy or economically smart for them.
Yep.
And it's so important. Stress is toxic, and women trying to do too much and being the ones that are in charge of all of the inventory for everybody in the family
Right.
is it's not okay.
Hey there, my little biz besties. Welcome back to In Good Company, where real entrepreneurs share real growth stories. Thanks for liking and subscribing to my channel. Let's get into it. I remember you came to one of my BNI meetings, but when you walked in, there was such an emotional presence. And I remember talking to you about things that were going to happen and going on and what I thought it was going to be like as far as, yeah, I want to like get rid of the stuff and clean the stuff up was nothing like what you presented. And when you left, I thought, oh my gosh, this family member I have like needs a Pinky Jackson in her life. And man, was I so right, because she has just like, I can't tell you how many phone calls I've had with this person of her just crying with gratitude. And I've obviously seen what it looks like now when I've gone over there. And she's so proud. So she, yeah, this is my closet and this is my area. I'm going to sell things and just so much joy. So if someone were to ask you, like, what do you do? How would you put that into words?
Great question. I change people's lives by helping them transform their homes. I'm a home organizer. I do small businesses also, but primarily homes.
Hmm.
Overwhelmed families, busy entrepreneurs who need their home to function better or to feel better or to look better. And we
Yes.
make it look good.
Yes. So much yes. So the person that, I went and brought them in, their whole team packed me up. They packed our whole house up. And then they also moved our whole house in. I had more of a non-emotional approach because I look at stuff so differently than the family member that you've helped and maybe some others. So when you come in, here was my biggest difference that I saw with you and the other person, the emotional aspect. The person that you helped in my family struggles with their sentimental feelings in things. And I don't want to minimize that. So when you go into someone's home and, maybe it's the consultation, because you do a consultation, you don't just go in blindly. What's going through your mind, if anything, when you go into someone's home and they start talking about their things? Do you have a process that you're going like, oh, we need to make sure we get this, and what's kind of going in your mind? Because you're in people's homes, this is their personal space. A lot of people do have emotional attachments to their things, and maybe I'm the weirdo, but
Yeah.
what are your thoughts? What goes through your
Well,
head?
that's a really great question. And that's a really good observation that some people just need practical help uh, packing, moving, unpacking, and the inventory is already manageable and they're already moved. They already have all the resources as far as the square footage and the storage, and it just needs to be. It's much more practical, mechanical. Get it done efficiently, safely, all of that.
Yeah.
Um, but most of the people that I work with need more support than that. They need those things to happen, but they also need more emotional support and mental support and more strategy
Yeah.
in order to get them where they want to go, right? It's not as cut and dried with people who, like you say, have more of an emotional attachment to their things or they're dealing with trauma, transition. There's so many things that happen to people that make it hard for them to make changes in their lives, right? So when I go into an assessment, and you're right, I do free assessments for, anyone who wants to see if we can help them. When I go in, I'm looking basically for two things. I'm looking for their readiness and I'm looking for their resources,
Okay.
right?
Yep.
And under those umbrellas, There are several layers under those umbrellas, but that's what I'm looking for to find out if they're ready to get the services that I can offer and if I have the services that they need,
Mm,
right? So the readiness is, are they emotionally ready? Are they mentally ready to be able to be with me cognitively for some or all of the time to
yeah,
make some decisions, right? To
yeah,
establish some criteria and make some decisions. And they don't have to figure out how to do that. That's part of my strategic action plan for each client is going through and asking them questions and showing them examples and
okay,
giving them either ors. But we need to make sure that just they have the health, they have the mental health to be able to move forward. Um, because most people, if they call me directly, they're ready. But some people are calling because a family member's encouraging them and they may not be ready, right? So
right.
I look at being ready and then I look at if they have the resources to get to the goals that they've stated they have.
Mhm.
And those resources are almost always space. If
Yeah,
they say, I want to keep 90% of what I have, I just need it reorganized. And I look
yeah,
at the space and I say, there's not physically, the container is your house.
yeah.
The container is this room. The container is that cabinet, that drawer. Those are the boundaries. And so if they don't have a big enough resource of space or the amount of inventory that they're ready to keep, then they're not ready. That's not a match,
Oh,
right?
interesting.
So we look at the space, we look at their mental, emotional readiness, we look at their time because they're going to need to spend a little bit of time or a lot of time on this.
Right.
I Most clients want to be there when we're there and it's
Mm,
helpful and they can participate, although they don't have to do any of the work. They're just making decisions, yes, no, keep, go. But most want to be there. Some don't ever want to be there. They give me enough information. They don't want to be part of it. They're like, here's the code to my house. Here's my credit card. Tell me
yeah,
when you're done, and
yeah.
which is cool. People can knock it out in a really trusting, respectful way. But most people are there for a little bit of time, right? So we have to make sure it's a time in their life that they're willing to take something off their calendar to
Mm,
add organizing onto their calendar,
yeah. Wow,
you
that's
know?
so true.
Yeah, so that's a big resource that we're looking at. And then, of course, we're looking at their financial resource. This is a luxury service. I've been doing this for over 40 years. I'm very good at what I do. I have an excellent team. We bring a lot of value to the table, and it costs money to run the business, right? So, are they ready to make that kind of investment? So that I'm kind of looking for those things. The primary one is their emotional readiness because we can usually find solutions for everything else. But yeah, that's what I'm looking for. And I'm also, again, looking at the job itself to make sure it's the type of job we do. I
Mhm.
don't do, hazmat type hoarding things.
Sure.
There's certain environments that I don't work in homes that have commercial tobacco or have a whole lot of
Mhm.
odor or real dirty. That's
Right.
not what I do. So of course I'll look at those things, but those things I usually know before the assessment. But yeah,
Gotcha. Yeah.
so
No,
get
I
ready to do
love that. Yeah, I love that you kind of go in with those questions in your mind, because you essentially don't know what the home is going to look like. Going into people's homes is such a personal experience. So you have a plan in your head. Hey there, my little biz besties. It's Ashley Chamberlain, host of In Good Company and CEO of Chamberlain and Good Company, the virtual accounting firm that actually speaks human. If you're a business owner and you've ever found yourself staring at QuickBooks like it's a literal foreign language, wondering if your miscellaneous category is secretly plotting against you, this is for you. We just launched something new, a private Facebook group called Mind Your Business and Your Books. It's for business owners who want real answers, real support, maybe a little less panic when it comes to your books. We're talking QuickBooks help, tax tips, mindset shifts, because yes, money is mental, and a community that actually gets it. How rare, right? It's $30 for your first month because we believe in starting strong without breaking the bank. That's not what we're trying to do here. After that, the price goes up. We'll go live twice a month. We'll answer your questions that are submitted by you ahead of time. Search Mind Your Business and Your Books on Facebook, or just check the link in the show notes. Join us. Your spreadsheets and your sanity will thank you. You mentioned that you've been doing this for over 40 years. Now, anyone that's a Home Edit fan, they know Home Edit has not been around for 40 years. So, how did you get into this? You were a
I
thing before it was a thing. You were trying to.
know. I didn't even know I was. I didn't know for the first 20 years, I didn't know this is what I was doing. I was
Mm.
every job I've had, every professional gig I have. I'm one of 10 children. And my older siblings, I would organize their classrooms. There were a couple school teachers, and I would organize their art supplies, and I would organize my dad's office. And, you
Mm.
know, I just knew I loved doing it. And every job I had, or every time someone wanted to help me, or every time it was my job to cut the lawn, to mow the lawn, I would trade with a
Yeah.
sibling. Like, "Oh, you have books and toys if you cut the grass for me." Um, so I didn't know that for the first, so I worked for free for many years from the time I
Yeah.
was in 5th grade, or for pizza. I also
Yeah.
would work for brownies.
Uh,
And, come on, pizza and
okay.
brownies. No,
What's
no,
more?
my pizza, I will organize your dorm room. No, no question
Yeah.
asked. And and then it just became a part of either how I was recruited or the jobs that I would look for, that I wanted to help people. Everything from being a resident assistant in school and all the gear you organize for that and all those events. And my internship at the Dallas Apparel Mart, organizing, those showrooms, the stock rooms, waiting
I
tables,
good.
and all that stuff. So all of these things I was doing. And then as a side hustle, I would go out on days I wasn't working, and I would help people organize their homes, or I would help them move, or help them unpack, and
Yep.
organize their systems for when they're going to get their laundry done, and when they're going to get the errands done, and that type of thing. So I did all sorts of wonderful things, and I didn't realize it until this probably about 20 years, not knowing that's what it was called.
Yeah.
People would think, "Are you a personal assistant?" I'm like, "Sure, whatever.
Yeah.
I'll just help you with this thing."
Sounds
And
good.
then yeah, and then I worked just solo, just me, and then maybe 10 or more years ago, I started adding team members. And so as all the different, books and celebrities came out, and,
Yeah.
people would say, "Oh, that's what you do." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, that's what I do." So it was really natural, and I was really blessed. My mother was very organized, as you would have to be to raise
Mm.
10 children. So I think I was taught, and it was natural for me.
Mhm.
And once my kids were growing up and I realized they had some, have a little bit of ADD going on, and I went,
Mhm.
"Oh, I have to learn this in order to deal with my own neurology."
Right.
So
Yes.
that was really big because I'm a collector. We can't really see much, but I have a lot of art. I have a lot of books. I have a lot of
Yeah.
scarves. I
Mhm.
love beautiful things. So I've had to learn to be really organized
Mm.
because I am a collector of many things, but I also like things really tidy and organized.
Yep.
So I think it's all of those, and it was just very organic.
I love that. So you consider yourself a collector, which is so you would think, someone that is specializing in keeping things tidy and everything has a place and systems. In my mind, I'm like, she ain't got nothing in her house. She has a couple of bins.
Not only because there is a whole lot of ADD going on in my brain, and I need to have a lot of things going on, but I grew up around a lot of beauty and art and artists, and I love to read, and I love real books, and, yeah. So no, I think that there is a minimalist aesthetic, but you can
Yeah.
get really well organized and still have a lot of things. And I think it's
Mhm.
really, really important as a pro organizer. I have to understand that not everyone wants a minimal aesthetic, and not everyone can handle 27 paintings on a wall.
Yeah.
Have to understand each person is different, what they need is different,
Yeah.
and some people are visual and some people are more hidden. As you know, it's such an amazing, bookkeeper and entrepreneur. Some people understand their numbers in very different ways.
Yes.
Some people are going to
Yeah.
read those spreadsheets. They're going to read those quarterly reports. Some people are going to have a conversation where you're going to have to kind of give them some metaphors to help them understand.
Yep.
Some people you're just going to, you have to let go of the pizza and I'll explain this to you.
Right.
It's the same thing with organizing. People's brain works differently. Their background is different. What they love is different.
Yep.
And my job is to help them love their home. And so if I understand what makes them happy and what they can manage,
Hmm.
then I create a home that has the systems that work for them at that time in their life.
Yeah. That's so special. I love that you said it's basically a service for them. You're just helping them get there. I definitely can relate in a financial way. A financial statement is a financial statement, and I can walk anyone through what it says. But if they are a visual person, if they love music, if they love sports, I'm going to find a way to bring that into the conversation. And you see that light bulb. So
Right.
I do that a lot with my husband. As a musician, I have to say it's kind of like if you were on stage and this happened, he's like, "Oh, I get it now." So I love that you're personalizing that. It's not a one package fits all. And you're also taking that into consideration when you go into their home and you're saying, I hear you want this to happen, but I'm looking at your container and this is what I think we can do. So you're still being realistic. You're just trying to help those dreams come into reality. Does that sound about right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's exactly what we want to do and create a plan that matches with the readiness and resources to get them there.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And to
Mhm.
make a tracked every 3 hours. We work in 3 hour segments
Okay.
and I want them to be able to see a really big impact every 3 hours because that they deserve that. It makes them
Mhm.
happy, makes
Yeah.
them feel better, and oftentimes they can keep the momentum to do a little bit between then or a lot, and the
Right.
next time we buy, yeah.
Yeah, and it's so I love that you want them to feel like they get to experience a win, because sometimes, and I'll relate it back to finances, if people want their books cleaned up, so they have years of, we'll say QuickBooks or spreadsheets that they maybe worked on a little bit, but it's a little messy and they need us to clean it up and bring it to present times. Those cleanups can take hours and hours and hours. And sometimes that client is like, "Hey, what's the process? Like what's the status?" And we don't get to give them those wins. And I think it's so important when you're working on something that might take a long time, 3 hours, 6 hours, 9 hours. You want them to feel a win every time you leave. Is that
Yep.
something you've always done?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. My one of my first taglines, probably 20 years ago or so, was
Yeah.
"Declutter, organize, celebrate."
Um,
You know, clutter, organize, celebrate, so that I wanted them to know it is equally important. You've got to declutter in order to get organized,
yeah.
right? And get rid of stuff you don't want so you can organize
Mhm.
the stuff you don't want. And then you need to celebrate those. You need to let that stick in your memory as an emotional win so you can let go of all the judgment you have of yourself
Mhm.
for letting it get cluttered in the first place. And you
Yes.
can record it in your brain. You can, neuroplasticity is real. We can change our brains if we give ourselves repetitive experiences. And that's what I want them to have. I want them to repeatedly feel good about themselves and their homes.
Yeah. I think every, business owner in whatever industry, again, speak for myself, can take a piece of that away from this. It's you might have a big job and you're excited about the job. You know, when we get a big project, a big cleanup, we're thrilled. We are thrilled because we know, like, oh, this is going to be obviously a very profitable job. We're going to make good money. But then there's the other humanistic point that says it's very vulnerable for someone to say, I need help. And for someone to say, I have not done the work for this amount of time. And now you are a stranger coming into my home, my financials, and you're going to look at what I consider a failure. And I'm asking for your help. So there's this vulnerability. And if you don't add those wins, those celebrations, you're not, I think, completing the job to its fullest. So we can clean up books all day long. You know, we have our own processes, we have our own declutter, get rid of. But I think there's a celebration aspect missing, not just in accounting, but in people's businesses, because you're working with a human being. So we should be celebrating. So I love that you said that.
And,
We,
and I love that that's your approach. I mean, I can tell with just the feeling of your business and that is your approach. I think you're giving it to people just by who you are. Um, and although you may want to build, we do funny little things with songs and dances and what do you need wine? Do you need tea?
right.
What do you need? We do little things there to make it there. But I think that that's just your personality. You have such a big heart and you're such a generous, compassionate person that I think bring that. And I think that that's what's really important, because the thing that's really in common with bookkeeping and organizing is that when someone needs to hire pros like us, they often are coming from a place of a lot of self judgment
Mm,
and a lot of overwhelm and a lot of shame, fear.
yeah.
And and I think it's just really important that we let them know they can let that go, that they can trust us,
Yeah.
that we're not going to judge them, that we're not going to, tell their secrets to anybody,
Right.
that we're
Right.
not going to do anything other than help them get where they want to go. Because I think that's probably the biggest obstacle. I don't know if you would agree,
Yeah.
in people moving forward, is they put up these roadblocks because they're afraid.
Oh, yeah. It's no one can help. No one has seen what I have, or no one can help me because I'm too far gone, or you've probably never seen this before, and I don't want to be judged by it. It's just simply not true. I don't know if it's the same approach for you and your team, but if we go into someone's books, their idea of what is crazy, what is a failure, what needs work is so different than the way we look at it. We look
Yeah.
at it in a much more practical strategy where it's to us it's just numbers and it's an investigative type project and we get excited. But
Yeah.
you can say that to someone over and over until they are in the headspace, which is I love that you think about that when you're going into someone's home. If they're not in the headspace to let some of that fear and shame go, what you say doesn't matter. It's just not
Yeah,
gonna matter.
it's hard sometimes to convince people that really hard stuff is fun for us, you know? Like, I
Okay.
hate to tell you this, but we love this shit.
Yeah, so like, please, the crazier, like it's a challenge, but not a negative challenge. Sometimes we find ourselves learning, and you probably feel that when you go in and you're like, oh, I actually haven't seen this before, and now it's a challenge, and now it's
Yeah.
fun.
And
And
now it's like,
yeah,
absolutely. I had that just recently on a job
yeah.
where I was there with one of my teammates, and we
Mhm.
walked in the door, and there was almost no place for us to stand. There was
Mm,
so many things, that there was so
yeah,
much clutter and so many things. And my teammate looked at me, and she looked a little terrified, and I just smiled. And I had to revert to how I train people, my clients, my team, mentees. I had to go, okay, we're going to start with the floor drope. We call it the floor drope. We're going to just focus on what's in the floor 2 feet in front of us. That's all
yeah,
we're going to do. And here's what it did. And I was feeling like, well, no, can we,
yeah,
3 hours? What's this going to look like in 3 hours? But I was like,
right.
nope, keep that vision. And so even we get overwhelmed, but then we default to our training and our
Mm,
experience, our certification, and we can keep going because it's in our DNA. And we've added to that DNA by, doing all this continuing ed and professional development and just experience with real people. But they don't know, when it's really, really, really hard, all they see is the hard, and we see, "Huh, this is a hard, but I've climbed this mountain many
yeah,
times. I think
yeah,
I can do this, we can do this for
yeah.
you."
Oh,
Yeah.
I love that. I love that you can look at it, what's 2 feet in front of me versus someone else that might feel overwhelmed and
Yeah.
all they can see is the totality of it. So they take a look around and think there's just no way. Not one time did you say I took a look around and said no way. You looked in front of me and said, let's start here. And sometimes that hand holding really does transform someone's life. So that's what you and your team is there for, to dance, to sing, to party and celebrate while transforming their life. When we brought some organizers in, I never felt shame or like there's no way this could get done. The hardest thing I had was how am I going to get this done with time? I want to speak on that part a little bit because I think there are several different reasons that someone should hire you. Obviously, I mean, obviously, but I mean, it's a no brainer. The emotional and the assistance and all of that, there, check. Then there's this other group of people, I'm going to put myself in that group, where you have a lot of moving parts. You know, if life seems quiet or boring, I'm gonna find something to fill that because I love moving forward. So with kids, with the business, with a husband that just, I mean, he's just doing stuff, he just does stuff. I was thinking, we gotta move. How am I gonna pack up this whole house?
Yeah.
This was when kids were in school. Even if they were in school, like, they're helpless. They're not gonna I'm gonna pack your room up and I'm gonna find them on their bed, like playing I almost said Game Boy. They don't play Game Boys anymore, but their Switches or something. I don't wanna have that battle. That is where you and your team could come in. And what happened for me, and I believe it's around the same process for you. They came there and they made 3 piles. I work from home, so I'm always around. But what I did tell them was, do not involve me unless necessary, so I can keep working because we moved around tax time.
Mhm.
I know.
Okay.
So silly. That's what we did. They made 3 piles, and it was keep, throw away, donate. And then they went through every single room and then boxed it up and labeled it with some color tape, and the movers brought it to the house, and then the color tape went to a specific room, and then they came over, they said, "Pack a night bag." We packed our night bags. The next day, they came over and unpacked. It took a couple of days, all day. Um, and then our house was completely unpacked.
Yeah, exactly. Unpacking service, packing and unpacking. Love, love, love doing it. It's so important because we're good and faster at what we do
Yes.
to you up to be good and faster at what you do. And for
Yes.
some of our clients, it's taxes during tax season. But for some of our clients, it's taking care of small children, it's traveling, it's
Yeah.
a really busy medical practice. It's,
Mhm.
I just don't want to do it.
Sure.
You know,
I mean, it was a
it,
big part of that too.
and that's fine. And that's fine.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing I think is particularly important that we communicate as women because women take on too much. Most of my clients are women and they're women who they work outside the home, their partner works outside the home, the kids belong to both of them. And they're the ones who are like, we're going to move. I've got to manage this project. They're the ones who are also adding that fourth job. They work outside the home, they work inside the home, they raise kids, they're trying to
Yeah.
to their thing. And I think it's so important that we say, no, you do not have to run every profession. Do you cut your own hair? Do you teach your own yoga? Do you change your own oil? Do
Yeah.
you operate on yourself?
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
so important that as women, we say, yes, you need to hire outside services and not think that this is 1950, that you are at home full time with a maid.
Yeah. Come on.
I used to compliment my sister on her mother-in-law.
Mm.
I was like, "Oh my gosh, she does this and this and this." And she said, she had a cook and a maid. The things that she was doing out in the community and her volunteer work and how organized her home was. And she said, and this was in the 50s. And she said that she was growing up. I wasn't born by then, but I would, when she was older, I would say, gosh, your mother-in-law always did that.
Yeah.
And she would know she had a maid and a cook. So
Mhm.
there's this misconception that women can and should do much more than is healthy or economically smart for them.
Yep.
And it's so important. Stress is toxic, and women trying to do too much and being the ones that are in charge of all of the inventory for everybody in the family
Right.
it's not okay. It's not okay.
No.
We need to be free to be. And there's so much great research coming out. I'm reading Do Nothing right now. I don't know if you've read that. Well, look, it's called Do Nothing, but it has all this research about read it, girl. Read it. It was written for you and me and all of
Okay.
us.
Okay.
But it talks about how much more healthy and productive societies are when we're not overdoing it.
Mm.
And that's part of the, bookkeeping, home
Yeah.
all the things. It's
Yeah.
all the, I mean, I have I don't clean my own house. I keep it organized,
Yep.
but I want someone who comes in and cleans it,
Yeah.
and I cook once a week now. My kids are grown. Once a week is plenty, you
I
know.
love
Um,
that.
I know. There's hope, honey. There's hope.
Nice. That's nice.
Yeah, the robot vacuum, the automatic
Yeah.
dishwasher, all the things.
Yeah.
But I think it's particularly important around professional services, around women, however they define their roles. If they say
Yes.
mother, sister, daughter, accountant, CPA, doctor, librarian, community volunteer, whatever you define yourself as, you don't have to be the one who also adds on in charge of the family finances, organizes the home, unpacks when we move,
Yeah.
helps manage growing children's wardrobe, which changes every minute. You
Yes.
know, it's like you get a whole wardrobe. Next week, it's all too small,
Uh-huh.
and it's so hard in our culture because so much is thrown at us. And it's really important that you have an experienced pro, like what you and I and many of our friends do
Yeah.
in business to say, hey, this is part of a culture that's not healthy. It's not
Yeah.
working. It's not good. And is this really what you want to teach your children?
I love that. Do you want your children to grow up? I think about this often because I have become the delegation outsourcing queen. I've just become so comfortable with it. I look at it so differently now than I did years ago. And I started, if anyone is listening to us and they're like, there's no way, that's crazy. I have to do it. Like I'm the mom, I'm the wife, that's part of my job. The way that I looked at it was I am giving the opportunity to someone else to do what they're great at while I can do what I'm great at. And I can't be 100% in business, 100% in mom world, in wife world, because you only have 100%. And giving the opportunity to someone else is a gift. I got a lot of raised eyebrows or, oh, you must be a millionaire because you had people pack your house up. Or family would say, you could just get that done a little bit at a time here and there. And I personally I struggled a little bit, but I didn't struggle enough to not do it because at the end of the day, it was more important for my kids to see, well, mom got it done with help. I think today there there's no it takes a village. People don't have villages and we have to build our own village. And for me, that means outsourcing. So if it's the robot vacuum, her name is Rosie. She does a great job. Like she never complains. She just does her job. We have Randy in the backyard. He is similar to a robot vacuum, but he cuts the grass in the backyard.
Right. I love
Randy,
those.
yes, he's on a schedule. He gets up, cuts the grass, and goes home. No complaints. He doesn't stop for water. Like he's great. So I think the people that have this tickle in their brain that maybe wants a project done, but feels like they don't have time, they feel guilty, or they feel like I'm not supposed to ask for help. Maybe they're ashamed because the project, for me right now, a project in my mind, where I'm trying to put a drop zone together. And I can't, while I'm a creative person, I can't put the mental energy into doing it. I want it done and I have the big picture, but I don't have the mental capacity or the time to do it. I just don't want to. This is where Pinky and her team come in. So it doesn't have to be the whole house. It can be. It can be. Um, but talk to me about if someone has those one-off projects because those probably I'm not going to say are more common or not because you probably get both. But maybe when people are thinking, how do I put an organizer in my life? Because I love what they do, but how?
Sure.
Those one-off projects, the office
Yeah.
spaces, the drop zones, the my kids are growing out of clothes. Now I don't know what to do with all these other clothes. I don't know how to
Right.
make it all fit. Common thought in my
Yeah.
do it.
Like, yeah, absolutely. I love that. That's such a good point. There are a number, many of our clients call us, they just need us to address the whole house. And when I do the assessment, that's what I ask them is
Mm.
what's working for you, what's not working for you.
Yep.
And the drop is so important because we all carry too much, right? We all carry too much.
Mentally and
Mhm.
mentally, yes.
Yeah, and when I do a drop zone, I'm specifically not just looking at where backpacks and soccer shoes can go.
Mhm.
I'm also looking how to drop things off mama's shoulders.
Mm.
how to train everybody in the family
Yeah.
to be self-sufficient and independently manage the things they use most often
Yeah.
and respect those things. Because if we're talking about a drop zone in families with small children, with
Hmm.
really school-age children,
Yeah.
it's really important that they learn to not only respect their parents' rules, but that they respect their belongings. Because those two things are the foundation of self-respect.
Yes.
And it is very important. It also allows that drop zone, that mentality, allows them to take care of things and therefore have a real clear understanding of the consequences of not taking care of things, right?
Yeah.
Right. And maybe equally or more importantly, the drop zone is generally located at the highest traffic area of the house where you begin and end your day,
Mm.
where you exit and enter your sanctuary. Your home should be your sanctuary. So if when you come in there and your sanctuary vestibule is a mess and you can't find your keys and you're running late,
Yeah.
or you come in and you are setting the stage for not the best day out of the house or
Mm.
not the best evening in
Yeah.
the house. And so we have to look at it a bit philosophically and really understand what's working, what's not working. And then we have to go, okay, on a practical level, what kind of infrastructure do we already have? What do we need? Is there a closet here? Do we need to get some minor construction put in here? Do we
Yeah.
need a shelf? Do we need hooks? Do we need baskets with names on them? And most people have gone through Pinterest and they found something really pretty, right? And which is great. And they've said, this is really pretty. I really
Mhm.
like this. I'd like the look of this aesthetically. I would like all of our things to look like this. And so my job is to look at what appeals to them and
Yeah.
then look at the inventory that's already there and the
Mhm.
habits that they already have and look at lots of things. I ask, who's left-handed, who's right-handed? What door do we come in? You got to look at all the things.
Uh,
Who's a more visual person? Who's a more hidden organizer? Who
yeah.
needs to see everything or they think they don't have it. You put doors on some closets and you may as well have thrown those things away. But people keep buying those things because there's a door there and they don't think they have them.
Yeah.
So we have to look at the neurology. We have to look at the way each person's brain works and organize a space that is a combination of how they already manage their inventory and a combination of that plus how they're going to need to stretch themselves a little bit to
Right.
manage and to make it work collaboratively for everybody in the family.
Oh.
Right. Because everyone's going to, usually, if there's more than two people in the family, there's more
Yeah.
than two organizing styles and habits
Mm.
and it's nurture. And so we have to go, okay, I'm willing to put up with a little bit more visual stuff and a little
Sure.
bit more clutter, but you need to meet me halfway by promising you're going to hang up your keys here every time so I don't have to hear you. I can't find my keys every morning. There's things like that that
Yeah.
you have to do. And so a lot of it is bringing attention to that. But yeah, a lot of people come in and it's just the mudroom or
Mhm.
it's oftentimes, especially in these last 10 years, office, office, office. So many
Mm.
people, COVID, they moved, homeschooling
Yeah.
office.
Yeah.
So how do I make my office work? Not just work and functional, but also work and functional and not letting it creep out to the other parts of the house and not letting the other parts
Sure.
of the house into it.
Yeah.
So that's the big one that again is like, let's strategically talk about what's working, not working with family, but that's
Yeah.
also very specific containers, furniture, hooks, shelving, if those things are needed.
Yep.
Now, I won't start with those things. Like I said, I've been doing this for a long time before Container Store existed, before,
Yeah.
the Rainbow thing existed, and we didn't have all of those things. So I'm very, very resourceful at
Yeah.
saying, plus I'm also, I'm a tree hugger. I literally am
Mm.
a tree hugger. It's
Nice. Yeah.
it's really important to hug trees. It's good for you and the trees.
Love that.
But it's important that I don't want clients to continue spending thousands of dollars on buying things.
Yeah.
At least in organizing a home, one of the biggest types of waste are all of these organizing bins and baskets that they bought to try to get organized. And they were trying to organize so many things they don't even want to keep anymore. But That being said, once we know what the inventory is that's really needed, then bins and baskets and shelves and hooks are very helpful.
Mm.
And labels can be very helpful. Some people require them, they really, really need them. And
Yeah.
some people are willing to put up with them if someone else in the family needs them. So, yeah, so a drop zone or a command center or office, individual one-on-one projects are very important. And
Yeah.
I love them because they allow us to get really, really deep and targeted in on just one area that
Mhm.
most people in the family, use,
Yeah.
and it helps them learn about each other. I draw
Right.
their attention to their different learning styles. I give them little tips for learning about each other and how their brain works so they know that that person isn't hanging their coat on the kitchen chair instead of the closet just to piss them off. That's not why
Yes.
they're doing it.
Yeah.
We need to understand that our brains work differently, our habits work differently,
Mhm.
and we have different needs. And once we can understand that, then we can come to that collaborative place. And
Oh, so we were bringing the whole family in. It's not just I am definitely the person that looks on Pinterest and has all these hopes and dreams and buys the baskets. And I'm like, well, now what do I do? We're using what we have because we're tree huggers and we're not wasteful. So we're going to use what we have. We're going to bring the whole family dynamic into it, depending on the space. But really, almost every space, there probably is some kind of family dynamic that has to come into play. I love the labels. Now, when we had moved in here, we had everything unpacked. I have 2 children. One child loves the labels, he's our youngest. I was shocked because he's creative, but the labels helped maintain the system for him, and he looks forward to, getting his own things now. So,
yep,
"Go get your swimsuit for camp." I will. I will go in this container that says swimsuits, and I can pull it out. And he loves it. And it actually has improved our everyday life because now he's doing that himself. And now he feels a sense of accomplishment that mom's not setting out my swimsuit. Now
that's
that's
right.
taken off my plate. And it's bittersweet, right? Because
Yeah.
sometimes I like picking out the outfits, but now he picks them himself. The oldest child could care less about the labels. Like could care less. It's all just like this. But you're finding what works for the people they already are, not
Mhm.
necessarily trying to change them. I think that is you're creating the cohesive environment. And I think that's so special. I think that every business owner could take an approach like that. Meet people where they are. Let's not try to change them because if you try to put something on them that does not feel good or natural, they're not going to do it.
That's
They're
right.
not going to do it.
That's right.
So I love that. I love that you're a trendsetter. So when it comes to materials, I love buying containers. Give me a I spent my 30th birthday at the Container Store in Cincinnati because I get joy from containers. But for every other person that's probably more normal, if they don't have something, they have a dream, Pinky comes in and she's like, "All right, you actually don't have any containers. Here's what you need." Do you help find those for them? Do they go buy them? How does that work?
Yeah, it depends on what the client wants. We absolutely do product
Yeah.
sourcing. It's,
Yeah.
this is a luxury service. For many clients, we do every single thing for them.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
Okay.
some clients love to shop and they want to pick out things and they just need a little bit of guidance. So I can tell them you need 6 of these. They need to be no more than 4 inches tall for that
Mhm.
space, for that type, whatever. And sometimes they want to do a little bit of the shopping. Part of what some clients need help finding things and some clients need help to stop shopping. So depending
Sure.
on which one of those they are, I'm going to take a different approach. So if they've already told me I need to stop shopping, I need to stop buying things, then I'm going to create a list for them to approve and I'm going to
Mhm.
order it and I'm going to bring it in and then they're going to reimburse me for the cost of the materials. For some, I'm just going to make a shopping list. Here's things that I think you would love. I think for that room, you'd either want this is your aesthetic, but this aesthetic is also something that I think would work with the furnishings already in the room. And you need 4 of these, 2 of those, and 6 of those. And some people love that because then they
Yeah.
still can shop but it's strategic shopping. And the other thing is the things that once we get them in, you get some things in, you're like, man, that's not exactly right. We take the returns back for them.
Oh my
Like
gosh.
we take yeah. We take a carload of things every 3 hours. We take a carload of things away for clients if they want those things gone. And it's usually returns, dropping off consignments, dropping off donations, and dropping off all the recycling from either the unpacking or the
Sure.
unpackaging. Right. And so we can bring in some extra things and place them and go, oh, you like the blue better than the coral. And then just as long as I have the QR code for it, boom, we take it out that day and we get it returned, right away.
Love it.
So that takes a lot of stress off them because a lot of people buying those things and they can't find them or they never unbox them or they got out of date, da, 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 da. And so we're going to do it in a much more timely way.
For
Uh,
sure.
so some people want us to shop for them. Some people, I love it when there's something that they really want from the Container Store or IKEA. I love a road trip to Cincy for that very reason. That is mess
Yes.
up for my industry.
Mhm.
And so
Yes.
we absolutely are happy to shop for them and recommend things because containers do make a difference. And a lot of homes, especially if they're open concept or open pantries or open shelving, don't have as many drawers and doors and things. So
Yeah.
there aren't many containers inherent in structures now as they were in the 80s,
Yeah.
so sometimes we have to contain with those bins and baskets. I also want to shop for the clients because many times a client will buy lots of things with lids. I know from stacking,
Yeah.
and they're not the type of people who are going to unstack it, take off the lid, put it
Right.
away, put it back on, put it back on the shelf, stack it back up. That's too many steps for a lot of people.
Interesting.
So we either stop using the lid, stop using the doors to the cabinet.
Yeah.
I had taken off so many doors, just so many cabinets, and said,
Interesting.
yeah, let's
Yeah.
just take off the door. And that way you can see. We can put a pretty bin there that says, copy paper, extra markers, those things so we
Right.
know you have them. But not everyone's brain is going to allow them to do that kind of micro organizing.
Right.
So we have to find out their style and organize around that. And yeah, so yeah, we're happy to shop for clients. Some
Yeah.
clients need that.
Yeah.
We manage that for them.
Perfect. So you meet people where they are, whether it's shopping, not shopping, whether it's the whole house or a small space. I personally can attest to not only the use of organizers and how it changed my life, but for your service and my family members, the joyful tears, the comfort level of inviting people into that family member's space, um, was everything. And I highly, highly recommend Pinky and her team. Not just Pinky, but her team is just
Great.
as impactful, which is so rare. Let me tell you. A lot of time when people go to work with someone and they meet the owner and they fall in love with the owner, right? And they think everything we do with this company is going to be directly with the owner. And then they get a team member and it's not the same experience. And I can tell you it is not like that with Pinky and her team.
Yeah.
And every single person that interacted with the family member was just as sweet and nurturing and knowledgeable as Pinky. So that speaks volumes about what you're doing. How can people set up a chat? How can they find you? What's the best way for people to communicate with you?
Sure. Great question. And thank you for that, Ashley. That means a lot to us. Make the work for us, really. So it's very easy. PinkyJackson.com. So Pinky, like your small finger, but with a Y. PinkyJackson.com is my website.
Mhm.
And on every page of the website, there's a button that says get started or schedule a free assessment.
Mhm.
And that's how you get started. Read through the website, information about how we roll, about what we do, our services, our pricing, everything is on the website. So someone can very quietly step into considering this and get a lot of information.
Yep.
But when they're ready to find out if we should move forward, they just schedule a free assessment. And if they're local, I'm mainly in Louisville, Kentucky, but I go
Mhm.
30 minutes from our office is our
Yep.
local service area. So it's a pretty wide swath. And then we do travel remote. We have a lot of clients, Oldham, Shelby, Bullitt, Floyd, Central,
Okay.
we have a lot of every single day we go out of town and then
Yeah.
we do further travel. But the local assessments I do in person, usually
Mhm.
evenings, and some mornings on the weekends, because I'm organizing during the day. And then if the client is farther out and I can't get there and, back in a reasonable time for the organizing sessions, we just do it by Zoom,
Yeah.
so clients
Easy.
are out of town, walk around and show the house by Zoom.
Mhm.
So we do that 30-minute assessment just again to find out what their pain points are, what's overwhelming them, what are their priorities, what is their readiness, what are the
Right.
resources. Then they get a proposal that they get to go through and say, yes, I'd like to buy this many hours or this many hours or this many
Yep.
hours. In order to get on my calendar, clients purchase a number of hours. And once they purchase those hours, they get a link to my sessions that are open.
Mhm.
And they pick this date and this date and this date. And we start at 9 a.m. or 2 p.m. or 6 p.m., depending upon what's available and they need. And we
Mhm.
show up on those exact dates and times.
Yeah.
So they're not waiting for us to finish the job ahead of them.
Yeah.
They're not waiting, whatever. These are the exact dates and times that we're coming. And so it makes it just really safe and respectful and lets us operate as efficiently as we can, but not rush the client.
Yeah. It's an organized process, of course. It's very easy to get started. I love that you sell packages in hours. So many times when I was, looking around trying to figure out how to pack my whole house up, it was here's our estimated hours and here's the total cost, and we'll let you know if it goes over or not. I think there is some sense of control when I purchased these hours and, we get through what we get through, but the goal is, 3 hours, declutter. What was it?
Organize,
Organize,
organize, celebrate.
declutter, organize, celebrate. And I think there's something special to be said about that because nothing is more frustrating than feeling like you have no idea what something's going to cost. You have no idea when a contractor will show up. You don't know if they're going to be late. You can't plan anything after because you don't know if they're going to be done by the time they said they would be done. You're not getting a window of time, 8 to 12. Those contractors.
Yeah, right.
Look
That's
at
hard.
8 to 12. No, that's a no. You're saying this is when we'll be there and we'll be respectful. So, Pinky, thank you so much for giving me some of your time and just spending time with me. I am just so appreciative of what you are doing and have done. And I cannot wait for everyone else to come into Pinky's world.
Oh, well,
So,
thank you, Ashley. I'm a big fan of your approach and your work, and I love looking forward to visiting with you today. And
yeah,
and,
yeah.
together we're just going to support more women in growing and glowing and
Yep.
make the world a better place.
I 100% believe that.
If I could do it all over again, there'd be no wish I would, should have been. Spend more time with my family and friends. If I could do it all